So you have a bandsaw just like the one over my shoulder, and one thing you know by now, it is really effective at creating a lot of very fine sawdust very quickly. So stay tuned, we're going to show you how to deal with that sawdust and practically eliminate it. Hey, Ray Ruthin here. Welcome back to the Woodcrafting Place, where we bring you woodworking knowledge each week to help you improve your time in the shop, make it more efficient, more effective, and enjoy it more. Talking about dust collection on the bandsaw. Okay, so the bandsaw really has two primary dust zones. The zone up above the table and down below the table, and inside here is a second. Because they're dealt with differently, we're going to cover this in two different videos. This is the first chapter of the two videos. Chapter 1, we're going to deal with the dust that you get from on top of the table. That way you can pick which if both videos you want to watch and what you need for your solution. Hey, and if you like what you see today, make sure you hit the thumb, smash that thumb to let us know that the content we bring you is of value, that you enjoy it. And also don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. That way you're notified each week of all the content we bring you to help improve your woodworking knowledge so you can enjoy your time in the shop more. And that was with factory dust pickup. You have such a small orifice here, the volume is so small that you quickly lose any ability to capture dust. So let's get to cutting down that dust. My first goal is to manage the sawdust that gets deposited onto the top of the saw. To me, that's the most problematic because that's the dust that's going to get blown into the ambient air quickest and easiest. I'm using my flex hose, my clear flex hose. Now, the goal is contain the sawdust, isolate it so it doesn't get blown into the ambient air, and then to channel it out to the dust collector or the shop vac. All right, so I'm going to take a piece, cut it to length. So now I have the dust pickup that's going to help eliminate sawdust from the top of the saw table. This has a problem though, as you can see. It will not go around the saw blade. So we're going to cut this. Okay, so now we're just going to cut the flex duct right down the middle. You can use whatever you need to cut it. I'm using diagonals here. You can use a Dremel tool or whatever works for you. So make sure as you go, you're using a knife to cut the plastic. That way it makes it much easier to reach each wire. It really does help the process. Okay, all cut, ready for a test fit. Yep, looks like it fits good, reaches around. Now we just got to set it up to lock it in place. So you'll see how we do that now. Okay, you can see we've started working on the duct. One thing you want to make sure is that you cover both of the cut edges with duct tape. Very important, otherwise the wire will spin out as you're using it. I use these door magnets, these cabinet door magnets, which come for like $2 at the big box store. Cheap and easy to use. They're held on by a rivet, and as you can see here, we're using a standard pop rivet, small rivet. Yep. And we use that to hold on, and what we do is we make sure we put a backer plate, and you can see the backer plate here. That way the rivet will not pull out from the plastic. If you don't use the plates, you run the risk of it pulling out of the plastic. And I learned the hard way. It's much better off using a sharp probe and a round rasp for making the holes. Just make sure the backer plate's pushed in nice and tight before you squeeze your rivet down. That way it gets a good hold. Okay, all done. Next we need to go to the installation of the port to hook up to the shop vac. So to do that, you can see this is flat and the duct is round. So we're going to need to use a little something, and that's this backer plate, which you want to make sure you use the backer plate. This will give the installation a lot more strength. That way when you put the screws in to hold everything together, it'll make sure that nothing pulls out of the plastic. Okay, and to take up some of the gap between the flat dust port and the round duct, we're going to use this foam, sticky back foam insulation. And you might need to use 2 or 3 layers, whatever it takes, and just stick it right to it. And same thing for the backer plate. And we poke our holes with our sharp probe again, and using a little rasp to open them really does help prevent tearing up of plastic and foam. Okay, now we just need to cut our round hole out in the duct. Again, using a razor knife to cut the plastic out, and my standard diagonals to remove the rest of the material. Cut through the wire. Screws are in, screws take it down really tight. Need to close up the top, otherwise the vacuum will seek the path of least resistance when it's sucking air in, and that could very well be the top. Now I'll go over to the saw and start cutting it to fit. Okay, I never had a whole lot of use for this jig, but I've had it lying around the shop for a long time and finally figured it out. Here we go. Okay, so what you didn't see is I held the form template up to the bandsaw, the guidepost, and the guard to make sure I had the right shape, so I knew exactly how to cut out the form of the top of the dust hood. I can always trim it up a little bit if it needs to, but right now, not the prettiest piece of equipment in the shop, but it's going to be covered with sawdust in no time. Don't really care what it looks like. Okay, time for test fit. Okay, so there's our setup. We've got shop vac hooked up here, and I use a series of small rare earth magnets. The top one, if you can get the really strong heavy pull magnets like this one, this is great. This has got to be a 20-pound pull or better. These are great to have for this type of application. I use those to hold on to the back post right here that's used for adjusting the height. Steel post works great. If you can't get the really heavy duty big ones, if you stack them up like you see here, that triples the holding power. So a 5-pound magnet on top of a 5 on top of 5 gives you 15 pounds of hold. That holds this on really well. So let's give it a try. Hey, and if you like what you see today, make sure you hit the thumb, smash that thumb to let us know that the content we bring you is of value, that you enjoy it. And also don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. That way you're notified each week of all the content we bring you. Okay, so I think we were successful at reducing the sawdust on top of the table. You can see here, although it's not 100%, it's pretty close. Very little dust, just a few little particles left. I think we were successful in what we're trying to accomplish. Just to give you some good close-up detail of the dust hood for the bandsaw, we're going to give you a close-up shot. Here's the final hood that you can see here. Now you can see we did a couple things. Number one, I realized that it was too long with the 4 magnets that were on here. So I took this down to 1, 2, 3 magnets, a little shorter. So you can see here that it doesn't quite go all the way to the bottom. So that way I had a little flexibility. And to seal, remember the magnets, right? 3, but you'll also notice I added some Velcro straps. And those Velcro straps helped greatly to keeping the dust hood completely closed up while I was doing my cutting. Okay, so that's it. We've covered dust collection for the top of the saw, as you saw how we use this. But I have a question of the day for you. Question of the day is, what brand bandsaw do you have in your shop? Are you using the factory dust collection? Put the answer down below in the comments, and I'll be sure to get back to you and respond, and love to start a conversation if you have any questions. Hope you learned something today. Hope you got some information that you can use in your shop to make your time more effective, make it more enjoyable. And don't forget to look down below in the comments for the links, for the affiliate links of some of the materials that we used today. Really appreciate you being here today, and I will see you again real soon. And don't forget, Chapter 2, covering dust collection down below from underneath the table. Have a great day.